A mansard? A mansard, what is a mansard roof? It can be any type of internal shape, but a mansard is a parapet that goes around the outside. If you like old westerns, think of some people sitting up there shooting the invaders, or whoever that happened to be. You know, it's you think of it as a parapet around the outside, and that's a mansard. We saw a lot of restaurants use this type of setup, okay? Because in essence, they're too small that to hide all the equipment that sits up there, right? Because if you got a really big roof like this one, you can set the equipment in the middle and nobody can see it due to the angle they're looking at. But on this, a smaller building, we would see all that equipment, so we build up a false wall on the outside to hide that. And that's why a lot of restaurants use this. They give you a kind of a cross section down below, a couple different types. So this is what I would consider the one on the right here on figure 2235. This one would be what I really kind of consider the true mansard roof right here. And it's got a little parapet around the outside. We do have some of these in Twin Falls, like the old Maxie's Pizza, and a lot of the old Pizza Huts were done this way also.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a mansard. We don't see a lot of that used in today's world, okay? But in essence, it's to hide stuff that's sitting on the roof cavity. You would use a mansard roof. I don't even think they gave us a diagram of this in the plan we did. Oh yeah, they did. Page 562. Here they kind of show how it would look.
I have a question on 2233 or 34. Is that window a dummy window?
2234?
Uh-huh.
It depends on if they're using the internal spaces. I'd really kind of say this 2234, this one right here, it may be a dummy window, but I would almost consider this to go with this cross section on 2235. Now they have a slight mansard on the top. That's really what I would consider the mansard. Yeah, just those couple boards sitting up top.
Just that little bit?
Yeah, now they're
So
calling
kind
it
of
the
like
whole
that
thing.
trimmy?
Yeah, just the trim.
So it's a flat roof on top?
Yeah, generally it's flat. Okay, it doesn't have to be. Like our Twin Falls Library has a mansard roof, but they have gables up there that are internal to it and things like that that you can't even see
Huh.
because they're hidden by the parapet around the outside. Okay, the last one we really talk about here is a dormer. Now, keep in mind a dormer, what is it? It's an opening in a roof. You see some here. These are all dormers, these four. So it's a hole in the roof, generally used to create space in there. It can have any type of roof you want on it. Here they show it with gables. Keep in mind I could put a shed on this, I could put a hip on this, I could put a Dutch hip, I can put a mansard with a railing and have a deck sitting up there. Have you seen some of those?
Yeah.
Go out of your bedroom and you got this big platform up there you're sitting on. Some of you drive to Burley every day, right? That new one sitting right on the highway. Kind of a cool house. I wish it wasn't sitting next to the interstate.
The Colonial, that one.
Deck on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big deck up
Deck
top.
on it.
Pretty cool concept.
They have an underground
If you want to sit right
garage.
next to the interstate.
He likes cars, he likes to see them go.
But we all shake our heads. It's their house. Maybe they love it.
They always have chickens out. And,
So this one, there are rooms in there?
Yes, these are generally rooms behind here. So we use it to create an opening in the roof. Generally, if this is a bedroom, I've got an egress window here, and somebody can escape onto this roof and then jump off. Maybe they break a leg, but it's better than burning. So that's kind of what we use dormers for. They're openings in roof. They can have any type of roof type on that you put. They give you a quick example in figure 2239. And I kind of like this because they do show the different roof types. There's 3 dormers in this roof. This is a gable roof. And then they put a gable dormer, a hip dormer, and a shed dormer on it. And different looks that you would get. So when you draw yours, if you do draw them, you're going to be looking somewhat in these shapes,
Oh, okay.
okay, and how they work. Notice the bearing that does go on these. When you do dormers, they will have bearing to carry a second roof, right? Because you got the lower roof. This is the hole, that hidden line right there, that's the hole in the roof. And then this is the roof over the top of that hole. Okay? And you're looking at it from a top view. All right, materials. How do you call out materials? This basically starts on page 565 and moves on. We have a ton of different materials. The big one, almost always, is asphalt shingle, right here. Okay. Now, we call these out generally by weight, due to a square. These are roofing terms. When you are talking roofing, the people will talk about 1 square. Okay. Well, this is equal to 100 square feet. Okay. And that's all our materials we buy for a roof are bought in a square. From that, so if you got a 10 by 10 roof, you got 1 square. Okay. Think of it that way. Now from that, we then spec out shingles. And we do it by weight. And they last different years. In essence, it's the thickness of the shingle. Okay. If you call out something as a 200-pound shingle, okay, what that means is that if you were to cover a 100 square foot area with those shingles, it would weigh 200 pounds. That's what the shingles weigh. Okay. These are typically around a 15-year, 10 to 15-year life cycle. These are the cheapies you buy off the shelf at Home Depot.
So
Most-
200 pounds covers what area?
That's what it weighs to cover 100 square feet. Most people are going to go somewhere around a 325-pound architectural shingle. And they call it that. So a 325-pound, and we call it an architectural shingle. Now, most homes are going to have this type of shingle on. The 325-pound will be 25-plus year warranty on it. Okay, so they'll last you a long time. Now, that's based on a lot of other things. It's got to have proper ventilation, the angle of the roof has a lot to play with it, a lot of things do. But that's a general warranty. The architectural means that it's going to have some relief, kind of like you see on this one. And so it gives the roof a little bit of class, I guess you might say. Instead of just looking like a flat plane, it will have some relief due to the shingles. Okay. So this is a really nice shingle. This is around a 15-year shingle. This guy's around a 25-year shingle. And in fact, if you build the whole roof right, these can last up to 50 years. You build it wrong, they can last 10. You've seen a lot of roofs where you see the shingles curling
Oh, yeah.
on them. Okay, it's probably because the roof wasn't ventilated and it got too hot. So it's a ventilation issue, it's not a shingle issue. It's how the roof was built. So those are your architectural shingles. Now generally we don't draw shingles, we do a hatch for them in our elevation views. It's shown in the elevation chapters, I'm not going to go there. Usually we just have a leader note attached to it, and we put it in our notes for the roof plan. Use 325-pound architectural shingles, coordinate style with owner, something like that. But that's your primary roof type in our area, right? Now you can use stuff like 2244, wood shingles. Why would I use this like a cedar shingle over an asphalt shingle?
It's lighter.
What's that?
It's lighter.
Sorry,
Cost.
I gotta move over here.
It's a lot lighter.
Okay, it's lighter.
Easier to support.
Aesthetic.
Aesthetics, weight,
Cost.
life. That's the biggie. Life. Cedar shingles is the life of the building. Mhm. Yep. They won't wear out. Now, are they going to last the life of the building? You get up there and bounce around on it? No. but you can repair them. We normally depict these in mountainous areas. They're kind of getting away from that cedar and redwood you can use because it's naturally fire resistant. You certainly wouldn't put a pine or something up here. Okay, so cedar and redwood are the only two types of wood that are generally used. How about a clay shingle, like here? This one's actually heavier than asphalt. So why would I use this versus asphalt?
I would imagine that's
Design.
going to break down very quickly.
No, it's gonna last the life of the building. A permanent solution to a rut, right? You don't re-shingle in 25 years.
Could be
Again, a lot of weight though, so you gotta plan for them. And again, it's gotta be built right. Notice they have these little 1x1 stringers underneath. They gotta have ventilation going through so that they don't break down. Gotta control that temperature. So they use a lot of varieties of clay. I mentioned back when we were talking about SIPs, structural insulated panels, that now we're doing that and we're covering them with these type of things. And we also are using lightweight concrete as panels now for roofs, which is a pretty cool idea. Where they take concrete, they entrain it with air to reduce the weight, but it also increases the insulation factor, and we just pre-manufacture them a plant and lift them on the site. Real popular in the south to go with that type of roof type. Then we can go to something like 2248. We do see a lot of these in our area. Not necessarily like this one, metal roofs. Again, why would I use metal?
Life.
Life of the roof. Okay. Metal's gonna cost you 50% more for the first time you install it, but you won't be re-shingling this. Okay. So you make it up in 25 years when the other person's paying to re-shingle a roof, you are not spending that money.
Is that
Some
pretty-
people,
is that
some
pretty-
people really don't like these. Some people do.
I love them.
I
Yes.
think is 50% more, is that, would that be typical, say, for wood shingles or slate shingles?
Wood is probably gonna be more than that because it's very labor intensive to install it. Not that the wood's that spendy, but every one of those things is hand cut and put on.
I was a person back in the cedar shingles, and I'm in California, they're all over California, they're taking that because they say they're a fire hazard. He said they're fire retarded.
Cedar is naturally fire resistant, but it is a wood. If it's set up on a roof plane that's dry and it's 40 years old,
It's
you're not gonna
good.
stop it from catching fire. And it's real popular in the Sierras because the Sierras have a ton of cedar, or used to. Not so much anymore. When I say naturally resistant to fire, keep in mind it is still a wood product. It's not like pine.
Yeah.
It won't catch like pine does, but it's still gonna burn, and burn fairly ferociously once it gets caught on fire.
Well, asphalt tile will burn too, won't it?
Now, they'll more, yeah, they will if it gets hot enough. It'll probably melt before that happened though. But, I mean, baling twine, you ever seen it on fire?